I really love this gift because it's me at least once a week to either my laptop or my phone. And I love it also because it shows us the storytelling nature that we have in Lego. Nowadays, we're spending a lot of time connecting to people via a screen. How can we do it better? Hi, this is Anna from Alto. I'm really excited to share with you a new offering we're bringing online. In the past, Alto has offered a 6-week program using the Lego series play method to support people through workplace stress and anxiety. We termed it group play therapy for workplace stress and anxiety, and it uses the fundamental principles of group therapy and cognitive behavioural therapy to support people and understand where their triggers lie and how can they better react to stresses in their everyday workplace. Now going forward, translating a method that is known to work face-to-face and translating it to an online platform needed to be tested. So 6 fellow facilitators and trained in the therapeutic application of Lego Series Play met up. We were geographically located across Australia, Canada and the United States. And we used 6 weeks of the April lockdown period to work together through the program. We were led by Kristen Klaassen, so she facilitated our 6 weeks. And it was phenomenal because Kristen Klaassen is the actual developer of this therapeutic applications of this program. So she wrote the program, so she took us through it. The 6 weeks not only demonstrated that it can absolutely translate online, but it also, for me, gave me something really powerful, really beautiful. I was able to really connect with why I react to certain things and stresses in certain ways. We're all going through a very stressful time at the moment. But the key thing for me was I learned that if I understood what my core values were, if I understood what lies really at the heart of me, I will understand why I react the way I do, and I can mitigate that to some degree. I've really taken something quite meaningful out of those 6 weeks that I'm applying to me personally. I would love to share that with you. I'd love to give everyone else an opportunity to experience 6 weeks of playing with Lego, but going deep into the things that matter. So we've taken snippets out of a podcast. All 6 of us at the end of our 6 weeks got together and we reflected, created a podcast. I've taken some snippets out of that podcast, and what you're going to hear in the next minute or so is going to be the voice of Kristen Klaassen up in Canada, explaining how she put this together. So what the intent was behind these 6 weeks, taken from all her years of experience in working with anxiety and trauma. She'll tell you what you can expect realistically out of these 6 weeks and why it's important and why we need it. And then you'll also hear Peter Tong. He warmly talks about what these 6 weeks meant to him and what surprised him about coming together as a team. Now, I really hope that you'll see some value in this, and if you do, just connect with me, please. Reach out, let me know if you're interested in having a chat. If maybe 6 weeks is what you're looking for, maybe it's something different. But what I do know is that Lego Series Play is phenomenal at bringing people together and helping us reflect on the things that lie within us that we don't always able to articulate and bring out to life. And I really hope I can help people connect remotely in these times in a better way, in a more meaningful way. So connect with me anyway, call me, email me, whatever the social platform is. I would love to hear from you. Take care, stay well, stay safe. All the best.
The majority of what we do in LSP for therapeutic applications, for working with people who are struggling with anxiety or depression or other stressors in their lives, you're working on a lot of individual builds. There's some landscaping in that program, but the majority of it is the sharing part and the coming together as a group and understanding that your stressors are not unique to you alone, that there are others that are sharing your stressors, that are sharing your experience, and that can help you work through them and cope with them and see the benefits to that experience. Everything we read about this it tells us we have to understand how are we going to let go of our expectations of normal. right? And although there might be some frustration around what is normal and that sort of thing, in the disability community, normal is a setting on a dryer. There is no such thing as normal. Understanding that letting go of those expectations of normal is not easy. And so this 6 weeks has been really focused around that, about learning about how can we let go of what we expect of ourselves? How can we live a valued life in spite of some of the restrictions that we're experiencing in this pandemic? How can we challenge some of our own negative self-beliefs in the midst of this experience? How can we be alone together in this experience? Because we all are alone in this experience, but we are doing it together. So trying to minimize that feeling of being alone in isolation and being alone together. Turning our focus outward, really looking at where do we find gratitude, and where do we find positive experiences in this? And that's not to say that we will gloss over this and everything is rosy shiny because we see the positives, but to understand that in the midst of these dark times, there can still be positive experiences, and we can still have an outward focus rather than a self-focus. And that will help us to come out of this. Looking at our as Anna mentioned, looking at our values. What do we value, and how do we live those values? One of the things that COVID is going to leave in its wake is emotional aftermath, right? So we are, as a population, as a species, despite the fact that we're an incredibly social species, we're incredibly disadvantaged as a society in dealing with emotion. And that emotional aftermath is going to be huge in the wake of this, from a variety of different perspectives. Whether you lost your job, whether you didn't lose your job and now you have guilt about it, whether you lost a family member and couldn't be with them when they were in the hospital, whether you had anxiety and now have agoraphobia from being inside for so long, whether you have guilt about sending your kids back to daycare when maybe it's sooner than you would like to, all those sorts of things. There's going to be a huge emotional toll to this COVID. So absolutely, I think anything that allows people to deal with those emotions, to better understand those emotions, to cope with those emotions, is going to be good for our society. Not to be too grandiose about it, but I mean, it really is true that we as a society suck at dealing with emotional aftermath, and that's going to take a huge toll with this particular pandemic.
How quickly a group of 6 strangers came together, why the program works, but that was one of my biggest surprises. And that is why people should do it, is because you build a whole I was going to say team, but it's more of a community around you by doing this kind of workshop. I think I really took that away.